So what we should do now is that we've got this piece of paperwork here to go through that you'll keep in your logbook, just documenting the discussion. And we can use that as a template for thinking about what you can get out of this case and what you need to go on to do for further learning.
That's a framework.
Homework, absolutely. So the patient problem description. So we're looking at iron deficiency anemia.
Okay.
Okay. How degree of complexity of the case? We've got to categorise this as either low, moderate, or high. So how complex do you think this? Where do you think we should score that?
Well, I think that iron deficiency anemia in itself is something quite basic in general. Lots of people get it, but it's not clear cut in her. So maybe moderate.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's reasonable to regard this as a moderately complex case, and of course, as you arrived at, there are several possible reasons for having iron deficiency. So I think it's at least moderately complex. And I think you did a good job of just describing the complexity there and the multiple problems that she's complained about and how that might relate to the iron deficiency. So the clinical setting was in the outpatient department. The focus of the observation. So we've got clinical assessment, management, professionalism, or medical record keeping. What box do you think we should put this in?
I guess it would be between assessment and management.
Yeah, I think it's clinical assessment. We didn't really talk about management much. It's the assessment and diagnosis of the case. Now we've got a number of categories here. And the way the scoring system works is that it's not the standard you would require to have at the point when you do finals before becoming a doctor, but it's how you relate to what we'd expect a student at your level of training to be performing. So medical record keeping, we haven't assessed that.
No.
Clinical assessment, how did you think you got on with that?
Well, like I said, I was quite disappointed in myself. As soon as I walked out, I realised I should have asked her about her menses. So I think that was lacking. But I thought I covered all the main headings that we've taken in Clarking in history.
Yeah, I think apart from the menstrual history, you got at the other key components of what might make somebody iron deficient. And I think you did a good job for somebody at your level. So I think we'll score that as meeting the expectations for level of training. Investigations we discussed a bit. How did that go?
I think that's a learning point. I think I need to go off and think about why I'd ordered the tests. I think about testing and maybe make it more specific, because I know that it's bad to just order every test under the sun for the sake of it. So I need to narrow my tests to make them more specific.
So where do you think? Borderline or meet expectations? What will we put down for that?
I'm hoping to meet expectations, but if you feel borderline, then that's.
I think for the stage of training you're at, I think we'll meet expectations. But that's clearly an area to focus a bit of reading on.
Okay.
Is how do you investigate iron deficiency anyway? Treatment plan? Did we discuss that?
We didn't really.
Discuss that. So I think that's unable to comment. Case synthesis. Now, and you talked about moving from the clerking to explaining the case to me, and how that's a bit different. So what kind of job do you think you did on?
I think I struggled with that, but I think I tended to float back into presenting and clerking.
I think you actually did it quite well, and I think you met the expectations there, and I think you resisted drifting back into clerking. That's the kind of default position, isn't it? That you do a clerking and you present it as such. I think that went okay. And organisation and efficiency?
Of my time, or?
I suppose that's about how you organise the information, really.
Okay. Again, I had initially put it into subheadings, and that's just the way that I've been taught it's the most organised, but perhaps for this situation.
To me it came across as quite clear, and I think you presented a clear picture of what's going on with the patient, and I think that's probably above expectations. And then overall clinical competence, I suppose that's very broad, but I think met expectations. So anything especially good in what you did in terms of discussing the case?
I think it was important that I delved into her social aspects, because I think that's something quite neglected in medicine, can be. So that was probably good.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you got at the diet well, you got at the underlying reasons for why she's not eating iron-containing things, and I think you got at what she's concerned about. You know, that you explored the history of cancer in the sister, and the fact that she's anxious about that. She's worried that similar thing might be going on with her. So I think you did a good job with that. So getting at the social aspects, the more holistic aspects of the case, I think you did well. So what are we going to put down for development points? What do you think you could go away and work on? Right, so investigation of iron deficiency. All right. And anything else we can take out of this?
Mine's gone blank. Perhaps.
I mean, how about...
just to-
Sorry, I'm interrupting you there.
No,
so-
no. Perhaps just to sit down and look at the differential diagnoses and how I go about ruling them out. I guess that brings into investigations, isn't it?
I mean, if you think about the overall strategy for investigating iron deficiency, you're right, because you're going to start with a differential diagnosis for guiding your investigation. Something I think it might be useful to think about, you talked about differentiating irritable bowel syndrome from bowel cancer, and perhaps to think about that,
Okay.
the diagnoses and how you make them, how you reassure yourself it's irritable bowel syndrome, not colonic carcinoma.
That's a good idea.
Right, good. So any further comments or questions?
No. Just how would you go about treating it and investigating it?
Well, given that we've got a problem-based learning philosophy, what you have to do is we've generated the learning objectives here. So the idea is you go away and look them up in the books, but by all means come back to me if there's anything that you're still unclear about.
Okay.
So we'll call it a day there and we'll meet up at the same time next week.
Excellent.
Well done.
Thank you very much.